What's up, everyone? I've been really excited to get into this topic for quite a while now. So a CRM is customer relationship management software. Things like HubSpot, Salesforce, all of these different platforms do a lot of different things for a lot of different people, and they follow a multi-tenant structure. So I've been wanting to dig into that and see how Payload can use, or how we can use the Payload multi-tenant plugin to do something similar. Now, I am under no delusion that I'm going to fully replace all that HubSpot or Salesforce can do. But I do know that the capabilities of the software that I have in hand should be able to get me pretty close. So we're going to get started with that right now. And the first thing we need to do, of course, is I'm going to start with creating a new Payload app using create Payload app. And as always, this is not really a tutorial. I'm just here building stuff. So should be fun to get started with this. So I'm going to do multi-tenant CRM. Why not? And I'm going to use blank, and I'm actually going to delete the front end of it. And I'm going to use Postgres this time. I normally will use, I'll normally use MongoDB for most things with Payload. But I really wanted to get something that is more structurally sound as far as databases go for this project specifically. While MongoDB for like in Payload can do relationships and all of this, just Postgres makes more sense with structured data, and structured data is what we're using here. So I'll use Postgres. We'll install everything. And then I have over here all of the documentation, so we'll get to that just a second. So I'm going to open this up in WebStorm. Just a second here. So yep, we got the blank template going. Set it to the left side. And then I'm going to go into our source and just delete the front end because I'm not going to use anything there. And I don't think I need my route. I think this is just a sample route. Yeah, it's an example of a custom route. So I'll go ahead and remove that as well. And then I'll keep everything else, and README can stay for now. So go ahead and delete that. And we're going to open up our collections and our payload folder and then our config. So here, the first thing we need to do is actually install the plugin. So I'm going to use pnpm add plugin multi-tenant and let that load up. All right, so we've got the multi-tenant plugin installed, and that's as far as I have worked with the multi-tenant plugin. So the multi-tenant structure in general, I have not done a whole lot with, so that's what's going to make this the most fun, is figuring out how to make this work and see what we can build with it. So we've got a couple of options, including base path cleanup after tenant delete. Defaults to true, so after a tenant's deleted, the plugin will attempt to clean up related documents, so that way you don't just have floating documents out and about if you clean up or if you delete a tenant. And then there's going to be collections, which we will define our collections for that we want the tenants to have. That way we can have admin collections as well as tenant collections. And then internationalization with translations. Of course, if it's enabled, can debug it as well. Specific tenant fields and arrays. So we'll get into this much later. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, is go to our plugins here. And I'm going to import our multi-tenant plugin. This should import automatically for me. It did. And so they're passing in the config from the types. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Import config. Nope, not what I wanted. config from payload types. And we'll investigate what that does later. So we don't have pages yet. I wonder if we have to include that elsewhere. But we'll see here in a second. Then navigation is global and set that to true. So I'm going to go ahead and I don't see any pages in their collections here. I only see tenants. So maybe just to test it out, we're going to add a new collection, which we'll just call tenants, and we're going to have an empty fields array, just so I can get something spun up and going. But I think this pages is going to be an issue because I don't have that collection set up. So let's go ahead and do pnpm dev. That's not what I wanted to do, but it kind of is. Let's do payload generate types first, and then payload generate import map, and then I'll do pnpm dev. So missing collections, pages, and navigation. So while this is labeled as basic usage, it just has the assumption that there are other collections involved. Try placing the multi-tenant plugin after other plugins. It is after all the other plugins. All right. So here we're missing collections, pages, and navigation. Which just means that I need to add those. And so I'll do the same thing here. So we'll do slug pages, and I'm not going to do anything fancy here. I'm also not going to do anything with navigation. So let's do this. Restart the dev server and all right. So now if I refresh, we should get something spun up. All right, so Postgres seems to be an issue, and I think it's because I don't have an actual password. So if I go here, this is not live, and I don't really care if anybody sees any of this. Let's go ahead and restart. This is one of the reasons why I don't usually use Postgres. Or actually it just shows that I don't use Postgres very often. All right, so connection is refused, cannot connect. Multi-tenant CRM, so the password, this is a password. Maybe numbers aren't accepted as password. All right, let's get my best friend Claude on this. I didn't expect to have to use him this early, but here we are. I just haven't used Postgres a lot with, I think I actually might need to do this. Nope. Oh, I don't have Postgres. That's what it is. I don't have Postgres running. No exit. I don't need Claude. I am smarter than that. I always have Mongo running. I don't always have Postgres running. There we go. I am smart. All right, so I'm going to do my email address with my super secure password, and I don't have any tenants yet, so we're gonna have to create those momentarily. So I'm going to, oh, I have to have a tenant. But there are no tenants yet. So does that mean this isn't even necessary? Not now. Oh, well, hold on. I can remove that. All right, try this one more time. There we go. All right, so I just had to do that for some reason. All right, so now let's see what we need here. Okay. So we can use the multi-tenant plugin to get started. So base path then. So this, I imagine, default's going to be undefined and it's unnecessary. Or it's not required, rather. So I could do something like for multi-tenant, plugin. Let's go ahead and get rid of config here, because base path isn't showing up, and I would want to do something like docs, or not docs, but interesting, multi-tenant plugin config. All right, well, we'll add the config back here. So base path doesn't seem to be available. So cleanup after tenant delete defaults to true, but I'm going to set it to true explicitly. So that tells us that the tenant will be deleted automatically. Then collections we've added. So we'll have pages, which let's go ahead and add. We're not going to do that. We'll go to our collections. And I'm going to create a new file, which will be our pages, and I'll do a config.ts. We'll import our collection config from Payload, and we're going to export a constant called pages, which will have a slug of pages, and then our fields. So let's go ahead and replace this with our pages. I did export it, okay. And that imported automatically for me. If I refresh, nothing's going to change. But now I can go into our pages and set this to just be true, I assume. Oops. No, okay. So this is global, set that to true. So I'm not assigned to a tenant yet, so I need to create one. So let's go ahead and look at our example. Tenant. I don't need the seed script. So we have our users collection already exists. So we need to adjust some things. We don't need this comment, but we do need a new field, which will have the name of roles, which will be a select role, I believe. So we'll do select. The users collection is often enabled and encompasses both app-wide and tenant-scoped users based on the value of their roles and tenants field. So we'll do options, and we can set admin, and we should actually do this correctly. Let's do a label admin value admin. Then I'll also do, well, actually, let's set this to be super admin, and we'll just start with 2. So we'll do super admin and then maybe tenant admin, All right. So then I need to create some tenants, which needs to go into its own collection. So create a new file, tenants, config.ts, add import collection config from payload, export constant tenants, collection config, need a slug of tenants, and fields will set as an empty array for now. Did I set pages right? I did not. So collection config goes there. And then this is going to be pages, tenants, which should come in handy shortly. Users. Config. All right, then we will change our tenant here to be tenants. There we go. And then tenants is not global, but we should at some point see tenants. I don't see pages either, so maybe let's just do that and see if I just needed to refresh my server. No. All right, so if I go to users, I see 0 tenants assigned, which means I need to create a tenant somehow. So let's go do that. I'm going to do that by just following the seed script that they have here in their example here. So simplest way to do this would just be to do something like on init. I don't think this needs to be async. It does. Async await payload. Is that actually? No, I think it's just payload. There we go. And then I'm just going to copy and paste these 3 tenants and then restart my server. Oh, name should be there though. So maybe I need to add name. Name is name, which will be type of string, which is actually text. Okay. Leave page. And what I may need to do, oh man, name slug, type text, and then last one we've got domain. Oops. Name, domain, type text. So all of that should be there, and then after all of those are created, I'm going to assign them. Well, first, let's set this to be super admin so I can save that. Refresh. Add tenant. No options because I'm not allowed to perform the action because the tenants don't belong to me even with my super admin privileges. So if we go back to our payload config, we're still there. These tenants should be created, but I can't see them yet because I believe I need to set a, let's see, access, use tenant collection, access, user has access to all tenants. So then if we set our user roles includes super admin. what is this? Okay. Generate types. Don't think I need to do that, or import map, but we'll see. So I've got super admin, unless I did this user wrong. Okay, so I have a bunch of tenants in here, which means that I did things wrong, but that's okay. Admin, we're gonna use as title, and this will be name. So if I refresh that, name. I don't like that I'm having to generate types and import map a bunch. I think I saw someone also talking about HMR not working correctly. But every time I restart, yeah, it seems to be working now. But that's not normal behavior, so we'll want to take a look at that. So now I have a bunch of tenants. Let's just go ahead and connect to our database. Let's use DataGrip instead. Love me some JetBrains projects. Let's go ahead and open a new project. Or open. This is too much. Never mind. I'm not going to use DataGrip. I'll just use this database over here. And then data source is Postgres. Localhost, download missing drivers. There we go. Test connection succeeded. Okay, so that just worked. That means I'll need to go to that's all wrong. I didn't put the table in here, so I'm just going to get my environment variable. Grab this, go to database, add new data source, and then URL. All right, so do this the old-fashioned way. So Postgres, I believe, is the user. Yeah. And then my super secure password. And then I don't think I need that. Yeah, I really just don't use Postgres very often. And it shows. All right, so let's go ahead and stop these connections. Delete, delete. Try that one more time. So I'm going to add a new Postgres, or can I just see it here? I suppose I could, but I don't want to run SQL right now. All right, so data source, Postgres. Oh, let's change this. from localhost. Okay. So then multi-tenant CRM. There we go. I knew how to do this. Tables, user, tenants. So I'm just going to delete all of these tenants. Bye-bye tenants. All right, so that should be good. I'm gonna leave that open. If I refresh, all the tenants should be gone, but I should be able to add a tenant now. So I'll just add tenant 1, and using the same tenant they use, we'll use gold. I don't think I'm gonna use I don't think we're gonna use the subdomains like they are, but I'm going to include it just in case. Then if I save, okay, I should be able to add tenant 1, hit save, and now if I go back, I'll have pages and tenants. And then if I pages, it's not a global, is it? Oh, I added it as a global, so yes, it is. All right, so let's go ahead and get rid of that, and instead refresh, or at this point, oh wait, create new. Now, I don't know if this is a Next.js 16 thing, but this is not how the experience normally is for me. You're about to delete, yes, it doesn't really matter if I have data in here, so I should be okay. Pages, tenants. So let's go back to all of our collections if I can. So I've got tenant 1, I have a bunch of tenants, oh. Because I initialized them. That's okay. So let's make sure I'm doing this part right. Let's go ahead and wrap. So user has access to all tenants. So if there's a user and that user has a role that includes super admin, return true, otherwise return false. That should be right. And this just expects a Boolean. So when it was undefined, it didn't work. So now we've got our collection of pages. And we've got collections here. And if I open pages, there it is. I can see ID 1, but there's no fields. So if we go to pages, we can add one that is, we'll do title. Type will be text. And then I'll do a slug field because why not? I'm not going to keep this, but that's okay. And then I know I'm going to have to generate our import map. That is normal because the slug field is a custom component. All right. All right. Nope. I messed that up. So let's do that one more time. I messed that up. So let's do that one more time. I messed that up. So let's do that one more time. I messed that up. So let's do that one more time. Let it refresh me. Oh, I have got to do something here. Let it refresh me. Oh, I have. All right. So that's going to break stuff because why not? Right. So this is a test, which will have a slug that creates a test. So this is, and we've got our pages here. So now, to API, we've got our pages here. So now, this is going to be on all tenants. So then we need to do pages. So then we need to do pages. So then we need to do pages. And if I refresh, there should be a tenant assigned to this. Assigned tenant. I have to assign it to a tenant. So I'll assign it to tenant 1. Assign tenant. I have to hit save. And now, save. We're gonna go to our users, and I'm gonna create a new user using tenant 1, not at Gmail. Though it doesn't really matter. And then this will just be a tenant admin for tenant 1. Though let's go ahead and delete this one. Tenant 1, we'll hit save. Tenant 1, not now. Save. Let's change that. So now we're going to create new, do the same thing, tenant 2 instead, test, tenant admin, tenant 2, and then one more time create a new tenant email, tenant 3, tenant 3, and then hit save. So now, if I log out, I should be able to log in as tenant 1. And then see this page is assigned to tenant 1. So that's what we like to see. But then I don't see that tenant selector here anymore. I didn't really call it out earlier, but that was there when I was the super admin. Now if I go to tenant 2 or 3, because typos, go to pages, I see nothing there. So that is very good. I can only see my own tenant, no media, and I can only see my own user as well. So then that means that we'll also want to include media as our own tenant. And then I can create new media, and we'll just use, pick some photos. We'll just do something small, 300 by 150 or something. And then add a test, hit save. No files were uploaded because I didn't add it. And save that. This should only be assigned to tenant 3, ideally. So we'll see here in just a second. But I also haven't been having my hot module replacement going, so that could also be an issue. I think this is the issue down here. Enable server fast refresh invalid experimental key. So let's go to our next config. So let's go to our next config. This actually might be something that is causing me heartache here. Claude is causing me heartache here. Yes, I trust it for now. I keep getting this error. All right, so I'm gonna let Claude look into that error while I move on. So I'm gonna create new media, not select a file. That's not what I wanted. Paste URL. So I'm gonna create new media. Pick some photos, 360, 240, I guess, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Add a file. Test. Yep, that's what that says. And then media was successfully created, and it's assigned to tenant 3. So, same thing if I log out and go to my Nick plus tenant 1 at my domain. I shouldn't see any media. I should see my own tenant and a test page. And I'm just checking noisy neighbor stuff before I start getting into the CRM. But then, if I go to the main dog, I can see all my tenants. I can see all the pages. And so if I wanted to, I could add, I could not add what tenant it's assigned to. But I do know that it's assigned to a tenant because it says it right there. what tenant it's assigned to. And then same thing for media. I don't see media. Interesting. And then same thing for media. I don't see media. Interesting. But if I go, oh, this is just for tenant 1. So if I remove that, I see everything. But if I so I've got tenants, pages. So if I remove that, I see everything. Oh, okay, so I can preview this. I don't have to keep logging in and out, so that's really good to see. So I'm mimicking essentially what permissions I have, and then this is to everything, and then I can add this. I can assign it to tenant 1, for example. But why couldn't I assign it to anyone else? So if I go to 1, for example, is it because of this here? But why couldn't I assign it to anyone else? So if I do that, and then assign tenant, so if I do 1 and 3, but I can't assign it to 2. Assign tenant. But if I create new, we'll do another. Pick some photos. Create new, we'll do another. Do 300, 200, photos, add file, test. All of them are bridges or bridge-like. And then I can assign this to tenant 1 or 3. And then I can assign this to... What's wrong with tenant 2 or 3? And then I can assign this to... What's wrong with tenant 2 or 3? Very interesting. So we got tenant admins and then super admins. So that... Oh, I'm not assigned to... Very interesting. So we got tenant admins and 1. Super admins. So that 2. Oh, I'm not assigned. I would love this to be a table instead of select fields. So now if I save this, that 2. Oh, I'm not assigned. I would love this to be a table. You hear an echo. Let me see about that. So now if I save this, I would love this to be a table. You hear an echo. Let me see about that. So now if I save this, you hear an echo. Let me see about that. I see screen capture. I see screen capture. I don't hear echo through my headphones. Check, check. I don't hear echo through my headphones. I don't know why there's screen capture audio though. I wonder if that was the issue. So if you're still hearing it, let me know. But I think that would have fixed it. Though I feel like I sound kind of hollow now. Let me just adjust that down a little bit. Sorry, new microphone. All right, so music. And I'm just checking one more thing for this. Let me see if I can do one thing before I keep going. Okay, well, hopefully that's not going to be an issue when I edit. So, oh, works. Okay, so I'll just make sure that that stays muted. Don't know how it got unmuted though. All right, anyway, so we've got all of our tenants. We're good there. Let's let Claude do its thing. Now, where was I? Good call out, but now, what was I doing? All right, so we have access to all tenants. I think that was it. I think we're good. All right, moving on. So the next thing, let's start talking CRM style fields. So I have a couple of tenants now. The tenants seem to work just fine. So there is separation between them. I've got pages, I've got media, but that's not really stuff that we use in a CRM. So let's figure out what to do next. So first, checking a few things. Oops. All right. So I have outline, I have a notes, so I'm going to take a sip of water while I look at that. All right, so let's take a look at what is left here. So I'm just reading these JS docs here. So we can access result override. Override the access result from the collection access control functions. So if we do this, let's just take a look. We'll do access result. So there's only users access result override. So we're going to be looking for the access I don't know. So let's not dig into things that I don't think we're going to need. So I'm going to leave that how it is and then move on to something that's going to be maybe a little bit more useful. Opt out of adding the tenant field and place it manually using the tenant field export from the plugin. So I do have a custom tenant collection that I just created. So see, some of these are missing. So custom tenant field. So I have a feeling that this part of the docs is outdated. So let's go look at our source config. We got the multi-tenant plugin here. So these seem to be all the stuff that I might actually need. But so far it seems like is global would be fine. So that just sets whatever the collection is to a global. But I wonder if I have to set a collection up for it to be a global, but we'll figure that out later. Let's just see what else is missing. So tenant field. You can do fields array, and tenant list override. Use base filter doesn't exist. Use tenant. So a lot of this doesn't actually exist anymore. Oh wait, this is specific in collections. So that would explain why that was an issue. All right, so then access result override, that's my bad. Custom tenant field. Okay, so then I could do something like custom tenant field and do I'm guessing this actually needs to be an array. It tells me. If you want the collection to behave as a oh. Okay, so that's not doing what I thought it was doing either. Use base filter. All right, all that's fine. Then we have enabled internationalization, tenant field configuration for the field added to the user's collection. Oh wait, field configuration for the field added to all tenant enabled collections. All right, field access, field name. So there's just a bunch of stuff in here that we may not ever use. Then there's our, let's take a look, tenant tenants slug, we can change that. I'm going to use the default tenants though. Tenant selector label is deprecated. Use translations instead. Use users tenant filter. All right, so there's a lot that we can do here, but I think what might be a better use is to work on the CRM collections that we need rather than the defaults that we have. That way we're working with real data instead of all of this fake stuff that we're doing right now. So I think I feel good about where we are right now. What we should do though is, oh, I don't need to actually do anything with the domain because I'm going to be doing all of that within the payload dashboard as it is. So we may actually end up doing some restyling here, but I'm not going to worry about that quite yet. All right, so let's think about what we need to do. So there are a couple things that I know CRMs provide. Pause. Claude's working. There's an experimental key. So with payload is injecting, but my next version doesn't. With your current payload version or upgrade payload next to a version that supports Next 16. Well, let's see what versions I have, because what I may just do, yeah, this is most recent, isn't it? Sure is. Yeah, so why don't I just take Next.js here. I believe 15.4.11 is going to be our best bet. So do pnpmi. And then run all my types and stuff. All right, so that's ready. Make sure nothing got deleted or removed. All right. Dang, man. There are just some Next.js 16 things that are here, and that's going to mess with me. I downgraded to Next.js 15.4.11, which is compatible, but now I get troubleshooting stuff is always the most fun. Kind of want to listen to my audio again real quick. Excuse me. Okay, so I think I sound good. Sounds fine to me. I know the echo seems to have been fixed. I wonder though if this is where it needs to be. Check, check, check. It's a little check, check. That feels better. I don't know, I just feel a little hollow, but I'm not really worried about it. Oh, shoot. So it didn't actually copy what I needed it to copy. This is actually what it was supposed to do. But let's try the no turbo pack thing that it's telling me to do. Not an option. What just happened? All right. So maybe I suffer. No, it's not worth doing. All right, so let's set that. Do pnpmi. Oh, is payload not in here? Payload's in here. Yeah, I may just have to deal with it and revert, because I don't want to spend a long time just arguing with Claude about this. Oh yeah, it's probably a cache thing. That would make sense. I don't know why I never do that immediately. All right, it's removing all those things. Okay, everything is reinstalled, so try all of that again. Any second now. There we go. All right, so everything should be good now. Now we can talk about, ideally, the collections we need. So I know we need, I don't need pages, so we're going to just replace this from payload. Okay, we're good. All right, so instead of pages, yeah. All right, so yeah, we're just gonna replace this, that's okay. So let's get rid of this, and then we're gonna replace this, and we're gonna have first contacts. We're just gonna change that slug to contacts. We don't need the slug field, and we can go to our payload config and change pages to contacts. Delete the slug field. Then rename pages to contacts, refactor. Contacts from our config. So then we should be able to spin up the home page. Oh, pages. So we need contacts here instead. And we'll let that load up. So we need tenants still, and we can change this to be contacts. It'll eventually load. I know this is, I'm trying to do too much right now. So now we're going to create a new file, and we're going to have companies. And that will have its own config.ts. We can add that. We'll import collection config from payload. Then, of course, as always, constant, this will be companies, collection config. I believe we will do companies here. This isn't going to resolve though, so we need to wait. And then we'll do slug of companies, and then just do a blank array real quick while I add it. Don't need that anymore. Companies. Okay, import companies. So now when I refresh, oh, I'm going to need to generate types here in a second. So let's go ahead and do that because I'm doing too much already. Can see some migrations just took place. Refresh. Exchange drinks. Oh. All right. Now I see contacts and companies. Pages is gone. And that should have dropped our pages as well. So let's build out our fields. So contacts is fine there. Then we can add companies. And this will be helpful when we add our select field stuff. So let's go ahead and add admin. And we're going to use as title. We'll have a name. And then we're going to group this together as CRM field, CRM data. So we'll take care of this in just a second. We'll do type of text and we'll have name required will be true. Okay, company is moved. Contacts will do the same thing. So I actually want to change or copy this and then paste it here. Change this to be name and refresh. Yes, do the migration that I need. And then it should come down to CRM data as well. All right. So now we need to actually work on real fields here. So let's go ahead and start with contacts and let's think about what we actually need. So we're going to have, let's just copy and paste actually. So we'll have industry, website, phone number, address, size. We'll do employee count and then notes. So notes can just be a text area. And then, oh wait, so we're in contacts. None of this is going to make sense. So, well, it's fine. So let's hold on that and we'll come over to companies real quick. And then we'll have the same fields that I just said. So industry, website, phone number, address, employee count, and notes. So this will be notes. We'll do employee count. Then we'll do address, phone, website, industry, and then name, I'll leave it. And then I'll actually do one more and we'll do logo. And this will be an upload field with a relation to media. Employee count will be, should I do a number or should I do a string that's going to be a range? I'll do a number and then you can estimate it. So let's go ahead and just admin, just not disabled. Description, and I'll just say estimate if necessary. The address, what type of fields do we have? Because I don't think address is one. So text is probably fine, but we might want to do something more like an actual address group. So we could do type will be group, name will be address, and then we'll have fields. And then here we'll do something like name, country, type text. There we go. And then I can do up here, we'll do name, street, address. I'm hoping for some autocomplete here. Street address 2, type text. And then I'm just going to use US. So I'll do, oops. Name will be city. Let's actually do this a little bit neater. So we'll do a type of row. And then name. Okay, city. Type text, and we'll do admin width of 50%. And then do the same thing for state. Let's actually just copy this. State, and then finally, we'll do zip code, which will actually be type text instead of number. But this needs to come outside of the row, which I believe is right here. Nope, one more. Street address, and then phone will be, can I do phone? So text is probably the best place for this. Website text, industry text, all of that should be fine for now. So if I create a new company, I'll assign it to tenant 1, and I can add all of that stuff here. So if I zoom out, city and state will go on the same line, and then we could do something like here would be admin position, and do sidebar there. So I could do the logo there with a couple of other fields maybe. I could even do tabs. I could do a bunch of other things. So, but here, employee count could actually probably go into the sidebar as well. There we go. And then let's set min to 0. Well, 1 actually. So then default, nah, we won't add a default, but our minimum will be 1. So that looks pretty good for our company. And there is going to be something that I think we want to do with our contacts that will be fun. So we are going to do tabbed UI. So let's go ahead and do name. I'm not going to name it, so we'll just do a type of tabs, label, no, type of tabs, and then I think it's tabs right away. And then I need, the first tab is going to be labeled company info. And then I can add fields. Then I can add all this junk down here. And I have company info there, and I'm going to take the logo out of this. No, logo should stay in the sidebar. And logo should actually come out of the tabbed UI. Somewhere. Okay, so that'll stay in the sidebar because I'm thinking of HubSpot and Salesforce where it may have like a sidebar of information, but employee count wouldn't be there. But I could do something like company owner, but we'll get there. But like just overarching information there. So then we have company info. I had a brain blast of what I wanted to do. I remember now. So then I could do something like label associated contacts, then add fields, and I'll just leave this blank for now because I need to get contacts going first. Great, so we can now start working on our contacts where we may need something like, we'll change this to be first name, and I know Postgres is not going to like that. Okay, that worked out. So we'll do first name, we'll do last name. Neither of those need to be unique. We'll do email, which we will make this unique. Yes, that should be unique. Nobody else should have the same email address. All right, so after that, we'll do a phone number. Phone number. Then a company relationship field. Yes, we'll need a lead source status. Okay, so we'll do status. And then how do I want to think of this? So we'll do a status, and then we'll do a lead status, which will be a select field. And that select field will have options. And those options will be, let's say something like, let's just keep this simple. We'll do lead. And then we can do something like MQL. Then we'll do an SQL. And then finally, we can do a customer. So we've got our lead status, then we have our status here, where we'll do something like maybe a radio, I think is appropriate. And we'll do options for this, and those will be a label of active, and then inactive. Then before our status, we'll have our lead source, which will leave as text, but that is something that we could probably do as a select field as well. Our phone number, nope, before that is our relationship field, so we can do company will be a relationship, and then that will be relation to companies, and we're going to put this in the sidebar. Okay. Then we've got our phone number, which will be text. We have our email, that will be an email, and then phone number and text as well. All right, so then we can, I think, leave it like that for now, because whenever somebody leaves a company and moves to another one, that will just be updated. So I think that's cool. So the next thing I want to do is come back over here and then do a join field. So if I do a type of join, and then I do a relation to my contacts, and then I can do, is it actually relation to? It's not. Should just be to. I always forget join fields. It's been a while since I've done this. Type join is missing properties. Access. Why do I struggle when I can just look it up? Join field. All right, so then we need a name, which will be just associated. All right, we can just do contacts instead. So we'll do contacts, and then collection will be contacts on. I think it's on company. The config does not have a field company in collection companies. Oh, contacts. All right. Associated contacts, no results. So let's create Acme Corp. It is manufacturing, and it's acme.com at 555-123-4567. I would want to format that, but that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nunya Lane, and we'll say this is Oakland. They chose the longest city. And we'll say that's there in the US. Employee count, we'll say it's 250. This is some notes for this company. I won't include a logo. I will include a logo because I can always just use my favorite, pick some photos and do something like 100 by 100. And then we can just say that this is Acme Corp logo, save that, and then I can hit save. There's no associated contacts yet, but I can create a new one and it'll be associated to the Acme Corp. We'll say that this is a lead. They're active. They came from Google Ads. They also have a phone number 123-456-7890. And then this is John Smith. They will be jsmith@acme.com. And I can save that. And now when I keep adding contacts to Acme Corp, I'll see that they'll be added here to associated contacts. And so I could add even something like a field that says email, like click to email or something similar to that. So that's all helpful information. So don't need a second street address. Let's change the label of that though. So label street address, maybe additional street address. I think it's just street address 2. And so that is a company and some contacts. Set up. So right now, did we assign this to a tenant? We did. So it's assigned to tenant 1. I am as a super admin right now. Nope, I'm tenant 1 right now. So I could open contacts as the super admin and I can see contacts and I can see the company that I just created. Tenant 2 though has no company and has no contacts. So they're still separate. Tenant 3, same situation. But tenant 1, I can see John Smith and Acme Corp. So I would be able to duplicate these across, but I'm just going to keep it really simple for now until I can build it out a little bit more. But Acme Corp, we can come back to company info, and then this is a text area field down here. Or is it just a text field? Because that feels wrong. So if I go, and also contacts should have notes. So let's go ahead and create that as well. Let's go ahead, just do name notes, type will be text area, and then companies, yeah, I didn't think so, text area. And these don't need to be rich text because honestly, why would they need to be rich text? But yeah, it's just for something for me to consume rather than anyone in particular. So I'm not trying to make it look nice or like rich text. So that is our contacts and companies, which is a lot of what CRMs do. So I have a couple more minutes here. Let's see what else we can pull together. Set up admin list views with useful columns and search. I've got notes ahead. I'm just trying to remember what I thought about when it came to this. Set up admin list views with useful columns and search. Oh, okay, so if I look at my contacts here, I can see most of what I need. I wonder if there's a way though. So if I ask the payload skill, I want to format my phone number the same way across all contacts in my database. What do I need to do in my contacts collection? So I'm going to see if Payload can get me a function, or not Payload, if Claude can get me a function to do that logic for me. All right, let's see. See page. Should I create a new contact? Contacts exists. We can do US formatted, US only. Yes. All right. So the other thing that CRMs really need is like deals. I don't have enough time, I think, to set up another deals collection. So that might be what I do on the next stream or the next video. So just trying to see what else we might, oh, columns. That's what I was looking at. I want to do some columns. So if I look at my columns here, I can set what is default. That's doing a whole lot. So we'll see here in just a second. Let's go ahead and do this. So what it's doing is it's using a before change hook to format the phone number for me. So if I go over to contacts, I don't need you to verify the build, but thanks for asking. If I refresh, generate my types real quick. All right, so now as things get added, I don't think it should matter how I put this in. So if I did this, yeah, so that's going to do its thing. Then I think the same, I need to do the same thing for, yeah, just to be done for companies. And now validate always comes through as an any type, but value should actually just be a string. I need to remember how to type this. I'll do that in just a second. So we'll want somewhere to hold deals, so that will probably be another tab. I don't think anything else needs to be here except for an owner, so I do need to add to my companies. And we'll do it in the sidebar beneath the upload field. We can add a type. This will be a relationship. This will be a name of a company. That's what I get for trying to edit the same file as Claude. All right. Type relationship will be contact owner, and then relation 2 will be users. And what actually needs to happen here as well is first, let's go ahead and refresh. Oh, position admin, position sidebar. We'll see the contact owner, and then I see those there. And that's because I am the super admin that I can see everybody. But I should be able to do filter options. And then I believe I don't know if tenant is in here, but user is. Return user. Let's go ahead and do our rec instead. Rec user tenants includes rec. I don't actually know how to do this right now, so let's see first. Couple of things. So I'm going to leave a to-do here. So the to-do that we're going to do is prevent sensitive information from being stored in this collection with an after read hook. And then also we want to make sure that we filter by tenant, by available tenant only. So we'll make sure that that's true here in a second anyway. So we'll say this is assigned to tenant 1 as it is. So we can assign it here and that should be fine. So I'll come back to that in just a second. But because I'm the super admin right now, I'll filter by tenant right now. So I am surprised that I can see everybody, but we'll see. Just give me a second. I'll check it out. And then we need deals. I was thinking about something else. Columns and search. So if I go to here, I want to have default columns. I could do something like we'll want the name, we'll want the phone, we will want contact. We'll start there. So then if I go to my companies, I just see who is available there. So now if I log out, and let's log in with tenant 1, and then I go to companies. That's not what I wanted. Go to companies. I can see that. And then I can see the super admin, which is interesting. So a few noisy neighbor things to work out there. Can see super admin in dropdown. So we'll want to be able to filter that by just what tenant is currently active. And I'm sure that's stored somewhere, but I'm kind of losing my mind now. So we have our contacts, and our contacts look pretty good. We've got a lead status, we've got our notes, the status of the actual lead itself, and then all of this other stuff, the company that it's associated to. And then I think that's it. So let's go back one more time here. And it looks like I'm in good shape. So a couple things that we need to do next time. I've got these to-dos to work on. We also need to work on a deals collection, something that's scoped to the tenant, just like everything else. We want to be scoped to the tenant. We'll want to work on how to like dictate or store pipeline, associate pipeline to the deals, and then even have maybe something like a pipeline figure on the admin dashboard. So I could do admin dashboard with pipeline figures, number of active deals, etc. Maybe some seed data. We can talk about that. So let's do seed data to see fully fleshed out CRM. And honestly, we made it a little bit further than I thought we were going to make it. So it's going to be interesting what we can do next. So we might be able to get to something like an activities collection next time. So we'll say next time on, never mind. All right, so I think this is a great place to stop. We've made it through really a lot. So we didn't just do a little bit. We explored the multi-tenant plugin. We figured out a few things with how the plugin is configured. There are a few other things that we need to figure out, like how do I restrict the tenant a little bit better? That's on me. I need to figure that out. But other than that, there's a lot of configuration that can be done to the multi-tenant plugin, and we will get there. I'm sure that we'll have some things that come up that we need to address as we continue going. I did have to downgrade from Next.js 16 to make this work. That's some compatibility issues that I know is being worked out, but we'll see when and if that happens, or if I switch to TanStack Start. I don't know anymore. Either way, this needs to be a Next application because it's Payload. And I'm only using the admin dashboard. I'm not trying to make a front end with this. I could, but I don't think I'm going to. So we'll see when I get to later streams. So we're working with Postgres. I've seen how Postgres works now with development, and that it pushes and does all the migrations for me, which is wonderful. Great. I love that. I do have to keep in mind that that does happen though. So whenever it has an interactive bit in the CLI, I have to actually move on it. So yep, we're in a good place. We'll pick this up again. I'm going to make this a long series of videos going over the multi-tenant plugin to see what we can truly do with this, even including, like, I hope to be able to deploy this. Not that it's going to be anything that I actually use, but who knows, maybe. Well, if you haven't heard, I did just open my course for pre-release. You can find more information about that at nlvcodes.com/courses. That's where you're going to find the Payload Essentials course, which is going to be a lot of content about how to get set up with Payload CMS from start to deployment. So it starts with 0 lines of code and ends with a fully deployed and production-ready website. So that's coming soon. Be sure to check it out, nlvcodes.com. You can also check out my newsletter, also on nlvcodes.com, or join my Discord server, which, again, nlvcodes.com. So check all of that out. Lots of great stuff coming up. And I'm looking forward to getting more and more into this multi-tenant plugin and other technologies that are coming up. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned some stuff. And if you did, make sure you like this video and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.